Hello, this is Mitch Mueller. Just making another video here. Again, I make videos on psychotherapy and religion topics like that. I'm a psychotherapist in Wisconsin. I just want to make a short video today because I was having a conversation with a client today, and it was really interesting, and I thought I might put it up here so that people can see it because I think it might have some useful information for people. The client I was talking today had a problem with hoarding, or has a problem with hoarding. And as I was describing, how hoarding works to this person, I thought, that a lot of people might benefit from hearing this explanation. So, hoarding. What is hoarding? Uh, what is hoarding? How does it work and stuff like that? You guys have probably seen the movies and the shows on TV and stuff like that. Um, Hoarding is usually associated with two different diagnoses, either obsessive compulsive disorder or obsessive compulsive personality disorder. It's an obsession. It's usually people who are hoarding for a sense of safety or security. The things that they own give them a sense of security. And the idea of parting with those things is terrifying. It threatens their sense of self, their sense of safety, their sense of security. And there might even be some sort of like rituals that they have into it, where they'll hoard things and then they'll sort of in this very highly ritualized way, they'll sort things out, they'll categorize things, they'll organize things, and they'll just reorganize things, and so they end up owning more and more and more stuff. And in their mind, that stuff is going to keep them safe, or that stuff is going to help them in some way. But they end up devoting more and more of their time to either maintaining or navigating just the sheer amount of stuff that they own. They might have to, walk around piles of junk they have on the floor, or they might have to go through shelves and shelves worth of junk just to figure out what it is that they have and make sense of it all. And spiritually, there's something really important to know about that. Is when you're hoarding, when you're buying stuff, and when you're collecting stuff, you're believing that that is going to give you some sort of power, something that you don't have without those things, either some power or some ability or something. It's gonna make your life better in some way. But what it actually does is it actually does the opposite. When you think about it, there's really three finite things that we have in life that hoarding takes from us: money, time, and space. And the things that you buy cost you money, they take up space, and they take you time. And so hoarding is when the stuff that you own starts to take up more of your time, money, and space than they're worth. And you are unable to see it when it's happening. Someone who's not a hoarder can see that when it's happening, and they'll just stop hoarding. They'll get rid of the stuff that isn't helping their lives or enriching their lives in any way. But a hoarder can't do it because it threatens their sense of security. It threatens their sense of meaning in the world or something like that. And what you're actually doing is you're making yourself a slave. You are becoming a slave of your possessions. And that's where it becomes spiritual, is you might own a whole bunch of nice appliances, a whole bunch of nice clothes, a whole bunch of nice expensive things, or whatever, cars, whatever you want it to be. But now you have to worry about those things. Those things place demands on you. They place demands on your time. They place demands on your space. And you believe that you need to give it to these things. You need to give in to maintaining these things. You have all these really nice cars, for instance. Well, now you have to have insurance on those cars. Or now you have to have a space to store those cars. And so you might buy those cars, and now you have to rent garage space somewhere to keep all those cars. Or maybe you have a really large CD collection or a really large book collection. I had a friend who had a really, really large book collection, and it was impossible for him to move to different places because the sheer amount of his books made it just logistically almost impossible to relocate. And so He became a slave to his books, even though he bought the books to make his life better and to give himself more power and more abilities and more flexibility. It actually pinned him down and kept him from having all kinds of options in life that he would have otherwise had. And that's what hoarding is. And unfortunately, in this society, we value material things to the level where we're not able to see it. We're blinded to the slavery when it's happening, where we can't see how the things that we own handcuff us or tie us down or are really just a ball and chain around our ankles, preventing us from true freedom. Um, so what do you do about that? Well, you spring clean. You go through your stuff and you get rid of it. And you ask yourself just a really basic question. Do I need this? Is it adding to my life or is it subtracting from my life? And that's what I asked my client today. I asked him, how many things do you have that take more from you than they're worth to you? And that was, I guess, an epiphany for him, which made me think, well, maybe more people need to think about this. When you're out shopping, do you catch yourself buying stuff that you don't need? Ask yourself when you're spending money, do I really need this thing? What are the odds that it's going to cost more to me than the value it will add to my life? What are the odds that I will become a slave to this thing? As opposed to it serving me, I will serve it. So if you're going to buy like a really nice expensive thing, like a computer or a phone, if you buy a really nice phone, a lot of people become a slave to their phone. Now you bought the phone. Okay, now you have to buy a really nice protector for it. Okay, now you have to buy a protector for the protector, and you have to buy a case for it. You have to buy an insurance plan for it, and you have to buy the best service for it. And if it breaks, now you have to buy another one. You have become a slave or servant of the object as opposed to it being a servant of you. Just a way of being free and having more control over your life, more freedom in your life, is to keep things simple. Don't own more than you need. And that frees you up to do a lot of other things with all of those resources, with all that time, all that space, and all that money. You can do a lot more in your life, and you can experience a lot more. That's my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or scathing rebuttals.